we held our first cohorts for APC in who were able to write their first APC examination last year. So we still, and this program, we've supported the candidates to be able to think and we have equipped them with the different critical skills with the professional skills to support them to be able to be successful when they sit for the APC assessment. So last year was the first time we had this program from after getting accredited in April, and this will be our second year. So I'm just quickly checking if there are any comments or queries before I can proceed on the next slide. I don't see anything on the chat, just a confirmation, and I also do not see any hand raised. But like I said, just to emphasize, please do not wait for the comments. So we will address the comments as time goes on and as part of the presentation. So we'll, on the next slide, Renani will be taking through the next. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. As everyone, can everyone hear me? Sorry, just to make sure everything is audible. All right, thank you. Yeah, everyone has mentioned in the outline. We just want to can you please just mute? Thank you very much. So before we get into a reflection exercise with regards to the recent sitting, we just thought maybe let's quickly have a high level overview of how our program works, and then get into detail. I'm sure both the new candidates as well as some of the candidates that might have sat for APC 2020 will be keen to just share your views in that regard, and therefore we really are also looking forward to it, and then just talking more about our view, our position, and also some of the engagements that we've already had with our candidates. Speaking about it now, we just came from one. We held our first. So we held our first cohort. If we to really think about the program that we have, it's just a matter of what is just a matter of that the way we designed our program was having candidates in mind. You are fleshing and already. As far as it stands, these are essentially the 9 points that captures how we have approached candidate support. And the fun, which is very important, it's all about saying that as some of the assessments may be in group form, as much as we may be with you throughout the program, at the end of the day, when we get to SAICA December 2021, it's only going to be about you. Yes, you will have worked with others to research, but you will then need to bring yourself into that assessment. You will need to respond exactly to what the examiner is talking about. So what we've then developed is to say that with each and every one of assessments, we want to give you comprehensive and rigorous feedback so that you always know where you are. You always understand where your gaps are sitting. And the idea is that while you what are things that you have demonstrated quite positively. So in other words, what did you do well? And then what areas do we believe there are still gaps? And what is our advice in terms of addressing those particular issues? So that is going to be very important to say that we don't want you, whether you're in for the first time or repeating, to then get at the end of the program and say, yes, I did not do well in those assessments. I think this is what, and so on, because I got an LC, I've got a BC, and so on. But we want to give you and position you to say that, yes, there's still these particular gaps that the team has highlighted and have considered to be what? To be very relevant in the broader scheme of things. Then number two, it is all about that, okay, you've got that feedback. Now, what do you do with it? So this is where now we are saying that we have looked at how we ran our mentorship last year and generally how mentorship is run. And back to table to say that we want mentorship to really be integrated with the program. And one of the things that we'll be doing quite strongly this year is that every time you see, so we have rethought our mentorship to say that it cannot just be about checking up on how you're doing. Yes, those things are important, but now we have left that to our caretaking, in how the caretaking team work, be the ones that look after, if one may call it, your well-being. And your professional well-being, we want to make sure is what is the mentors, that they are going to be integrated into the program such that they will also be an extension of the professional team. And you will then be able to then say, after each and every assessment, once you've gotten your feedback, you have got someone who has gone AP or have gone through our rigorous training in becoming a mentor that will then be able to talk to you about the feedback and help you in implementing all the feedback that we'll be getting from the professional team. And we believe that is something so critical because when you are busy in a class, when you're busy in a session, you might have that burning issue that you just want to address. And we are saying what large crowd, and you then have someone that you will then be able to walk through the entire professional journey with until the end of the program. So when you join the program, you will find that the mentorship registration open, and then you'll be able to do what? You will then be able, and before the end of you will have then had a mentor allocated to you. Then the other thing is just the focus on business psychology. This is something that came out. So I don't know, especially for the repeat candidates, I don't know whether it's the examiner's report that came from PsyCam. It was one of the most thorough examiner's reports that I've seen. I loved it because I think it gives guidance, a sense of where things might have gone wrong. And the insights that we've gotten from the marking of the APC, we have then, and also the engagement that we've had with Psych over the years, we've then we actually have designed our program in a way skills that will be required with our business acumen, two, critical thinking, and three, ethical leadership. Because these are the things that you don't know whether the next APC will have, you don't know whether the next, if it's with the next issue, audit issue, and so on. But that have been outlined, or the competencies that have been outlined in block number 3 are some of the things that actually quite strongly in the AP. And as we talk about the APC 2020, it will become absolutely clear how those were being assessed through the entire case study. So I've gone an extra way to say that if it needed be in terms of just make sure that you are aware of these gaps with aid in the program, and also have tools or plans in order to just be able to address them. This is what we are going to do quite strongly in the current year. Then the next one, it's all about what? Prioritizing the development of what? Effective communication skills. It goes without saying that when we talk about critical thinking, especially in the context of the APC, has to be communicated. I've seen people that really think deeply about issues. They are able to see problems in issues, but to calculate that, it becomes what? It becomes a bit of a challenge. And you will see that one of the things that we have designed is a comprehensive component in our program to just say that we want you to have those pervasive skills that we've spoken about in block number 3, but even more, you need to be able to demonstrate them in writing. So the business or writing or effective communication workshops, they are designed and delivered by professional writers that have got immense experience in developing professional business writers over the years. So we are really confident that they will be able to add value in terms of develop what? Your communication skills. So this will be in terms of how you approach different audience, how to construct your sentence, how to actually get to the point, to the point in a much quicker and much more effective manner. 5, it's all about APC. We understand that, yes, what we want is success at the end of the day. Like the results last week, we won't lie, they were a bit of actually not a bit, but they were a great shock to us, very concerning, especially more seeing that Black African candidates were sitting there with 24%. So that is something that we really want to transforming or the complexion of that particular matter. And what we are saying is that as much as all these other skills are important, we have come to find that we really need to remember that there is the APC assessment that you need to sit for. So the program, yes, is designed to develop you professionally so that once you are a chartered accountant, you are able to apply this in practice. You're able to advise senior management team. And as a result, you want to then have these skills, but before you get there, you have to go through this APC. So we then spend a lot of time talking about how to go through the process of research, how to work as a team, how to identify triggers, how to look at the triggers after you've identified them, what kind of actions are expected from the triggers, and so on. So we have really pack that also into our case studies and other components that we have put together, especially some of them new elements that we will be sharing with you around the June period, so that by the time we get to case study time, these things are a norm, they're second nature to you. Then number 6, it talks to us as the team. So we really believe in having an intimate program. And this is what you will have heard everyone talk about, that the brand is built on expert with a personal touch. And this is what we have committed as the professional team, that we want to be them. I've mentioned that number 1, you've got that rigorous feedback. That's one. So that's to your benefit. Then two, you've got the mentorship team. Then you've got the caretaking team. But majority of our professionals, actually 100% of our have gone through APC marking. Majority of them were 2020 marking, and one of them was part of the senior marking team. And that's actually very, very critical, because the insight that they share coming from such engagement or such processes, it really helps us to understand where SAICA's mind is, to understand what they envision when they talk about an entry-level chartered accountant. So you are able to tap into throughout the program. What it means is you're getting feedback and it seems to be hitting a particular part that you seem to be struggling with. We are saying don't go for too long. Yes, maybe you're saying that maybe you're not getting the help that you believe you need from the mentorship or from the case, but we are saying we are there. And with these resources, we are believing that you will then be well positioned in order to address any weakness or any gaps that you may have throughout what? Then one of the things that also was evident in APC is that APC happens in a technical context. So APC happens in a technical context. So this means that your technical knowledge has to be. I'm sure you even, I don't know whether everyone has gotten to see the APC 2020, but on top was IS41, there was IFRS 15, there was IS16, and they were auditing internal control, so on and so on and so on. So technical is not something that may be removed from what? From the assessment. And as you might have seen, or what we normally talk about that technical does not form the core of our program, and that's key. But we are not. We are saying that the way the is not like ITC courses, it's not like CTA course. We don't have a session where we are saying today is revenue, tomorrow is internal controls, the day after is so on and so on. But rather, we use that thing in order to build these professionals, integrate the two. But we are understanding that, yes, maybe some of you might have been out of the program for a bit of time. So how do you then build that? How do you knit it back together in case some of it might have been lost over time? The two blocks, block number 7 and 8, addresses that. So firstly, you will get access to all the ITC videos. So the ITC videos will provide you with access to what? Access to all the CTA content, and you will then, if a matter is triggered, access to go through those videos and be able to quickly remember, refresh, or to have some of the technical questions that you may have responded to, but access to the standards or material that you may have. Then additionally, just to make sure that technical is at the back of, along with our mentoring team, you get priority when we choose markers in CTA and ITC assessments. So through the training that we do as part of marking those assessments and see some of the pitfalls that candidates make, it will really and also focus in terms of what? In terms of what needs. Then the last one is just to say that the assessment structure. We've put together what we consider to be a comprehensive and innovative assessment structure. First of all, there are 3 compulsory case studies that will start kicking off in July towards the APC case study. But in addition, from the time you join the program, which is next week, up until the end of June, you will have small assessments that will then build some of the critical skills we want you to have mastered by the end of the program. Skills that we believe are critical to the success of the program. So this is something that when you think about our program, you can see that it is very, very candidate-centric. It's all about how best we develop you. And we really take this as a partnership engagement where we are saying that we really need to also come to the party, and you need to come to the party. If we give you assessments, then the expectation is for you to give those assessments your very best. And from us is to then give you that critical feedback, to give you then the resources in order to engage with us and also with the rest of the team to just make sure that any technical gaps identified are actually addressed. So these are some of the things that talk to our program. And one of the things that you might have seen is that, yes, we really want to make this an open discussion. So if you have any questions, please do what? Please ask them as we go. So the rest of the team is here with me. You'll get to also hear Fedi and some of the professionals that are here with us in terms of introducing ourselves. But they'll also pick up any questions that you may have over the platform. But are there any questions so far?
Yes, Rondani, there are lots of questions. And good evening to everyone. On the voice, it's Fedi. The couple of questions, some of them are going to be answered as we go. The one around the pass rates and around the fees, those we will get to them when we present those slides. The question around unique negotiation, I think, Randani, you've answered it quite well already. Warabile, if you've got a further question, just come back. Jessica asked a question around the Namibian support and how are we going to support the Namibian candidates, especially with the Namibian tax legislation being different. Randani, I'm not sure if you want to take this one or should I go?
Happy for you to do that, or maybe let me do that, then you can just
go for it.
Yes. Thank you for that one. So when it comes to candidates outside South Africa, we've got candidates in Zim as well as in Namibia and New Zealand, and we understand that the tax legislation is different. So one of the things that we have then looked into is to say that all our case studies will be based on a South African context, but the responses and the solutions that we'll share with you when it comes to tax, they will be adapted to talk to your legislation. So you will then appreciate that if I give you a tax issue, it might be the same tax issue that a South African candidate might be facing, but your response may be different because you need to comply with your own legislation. So from that regard, you'll then see that whenever there is tax, we'll then go that extra length to ensure that the solution or the response talks to your legislation. However, we can clarify at this point that we will not be in a position to provide extensive updates on your technical knowledge when it comes to that. This ITC, CTA videos that I've mentioned will and do currently talk to South African tax legislation. So that is something that one will then need to just need to be mindful of. The same will also be applicable if there are any specific external auditing issues, especially as it relates to what? As it relates maybe to your Companies Act and also the South African auditors, what is it, APA, Auditors Act, yeah, I forgot.
Auditors Profession Act, yeah.
Oh, Profession Act, yes. So those are the ones that, as I'm saying, will then go into the length of our ensuring that the response talk to that. So if there's anything, Fedi, that you want to add on that.
No, you've addressed it quite sufficiently, and I'm sure Jessica can come back if she's got further question. One other question, Maurice, our questions, because most of them will be answered as part of the presentation. There was a question around, what if I'm an APC accelerated course candidate, meaning I wrote ITC April 2021, still waiting for results. So if I don't make it for APC of June, does that mean my registration cancels? Rendani, take it.
All right. I think maybe it will make better sense when we get to the general information.
Perfect.
So I'll clarify that one. But it's a valid and a good question that we want just everyone to know and understand our position in that regard.
Perfect. Yes. Yeah. Then what is asking, do we welcome candidates that are repeating in 2021, but did the other program in 2020? Absolutely, yes, Wandile. We do accept candidates, repeat candidates. So our repeat program, which Rendani will take us through, is accepting candidates from other professional programs and that they've completed in 2020 and will be then with us in 2021. The others, them quite quickly, but I will be going through them. I think push through, Rendani, in terms of the presentation, and other questions we will take them in or answer, respond to them shortly.
All right, thank you, Fedi. So yes, as I was saying that we essentially have got to be looking after you. So the PC taking team, as well as the mentorship and professional team. So this is just the caretaking team that will be looking after you. So we've put the details here because we believe that this will be some kind of a handbook that you can always refer to. But to give you a high level overview, we've got two coordinators. So the coordinators look after the quality of the program, just to make sure that everything that we are telling you today, they hold us accountable. It's a system of saying that, no, you told 3 get this kind of feedback. Are we really looking into that? So they also engage with SAICA. So throughout the program, also SAICA will ask for feedback, independent feedback from you. And when you also have your e-writing engagements, those are the 2 members of the team that will just be ensuring that you all set up, you are clear in terms of venues where you'll be getting access to e-writing, how does the tool work, if you need training, and so on and so on. So they will be the key team members supporting us in that regard. Then we've got Zelia as our caretaker. So as a caretaker, she's the one that looks after your well-being. She will regularly call you, and before the end of the program, you will have spoken to her, whether it will be about admin-related issue or just checking in terms of how you're doing. She's the best person. So even if there's anything that you want to raise with regards to the feedback program, she's your number 1 person, and she'll ensure that your queries are resolved in a timely manner. Then we've got Ndiwo on on the other side, our programs have reliant on an online platform which we call My Universe. So in terms of registration, in terms of getting access to ClassLink, getting updates or key announcements in the program, getting videos for classes that you may have missed, and so on, will be supporting you throughout the program. Then mentorship, I did say that it's one of the critical elements in the program. So we've got Lebu, who is our mentorship officer. So she is the one that follows up on the team. She trains them along with Erwani to make sure that before they jump into the program, they understand the program, they understand the kind of candidates that they're dealing with, and make sure that the engagements are always robust and value adding. Then finance, so whether you're for yourself or employer, you just want to check in, that's our finance contact person. And additionally, you are able to access any of the invoices to your program as well as statements online. But if anything doesn't make sense, that is then the email that you can get in contact with, and you'll get the assistance that you need. So we really want to just make sure that from a program perspective, you are covered. Then the next set will then talk to the APC. So when you look at the APC, we're noting the questions. So I think we will then get to what? We'll then get to them. So I saw the question on teams. I saw the question on the course, so we'll get to those. Just keep them coming. So this is a very important slide. So for us, it's an important slide whether you are doing APC for the first time or for the second time. The first time, I'm sure you might then be what? I'm sure you might then thinking that, hold on, did I put time with CTA or ITC, or is there something in CTA that I should have picked up that will have helped me to be a star in the APC? Or is the APC an entirely different course that or assessment that has a different approach or different thinking altogether? And a simple answer to that is yes, the APC is different. We cannot deny that. But what is also important about it is that it is much closer to the real world assessments. So in terms of the style of the assessments, in terms of just having the opportunity to be given what a meeting or what the assessment will be all about before the assessment, removing the quite a lot of uncertainty of where will they touch on this comprehensive or massive ITC and CTA syllabus. So this is something that you will have then appreciated with the real life, with the real world as well, professional world, to say that, yes, I've never been to a meeting where now we just rocked up there. I asked my partner, I asked my manager, and they didn't know what the meeting was all about, and they just found out in there. So that is something that we get to see in the APC. And the question is, why is it like that? What are they looking for? So the most important thing is that they are looking to assess professional competence. So what is that? Because you really need to understand it before we do it, before we get to solve this problem that we've got. And you'll also find that this is the first session that we spend time on. We look quite closely at this CA 2025 competencies and seeing how a CA or an entry identified as someone who demonstrates high level of professionals, a high level of technical acumen, and also a responsible business leader. So this is something that we then designed our program around to say, hold on, so the ethic means I can get in them. And is it possible that there could be ethical issues? And if I demonstrate, or if I lack demonstration of ethical leadership, it could be counted against me, regardless of how well I might have done on the technical. It's one of those. And could it be that the way I present my thoughts could undermine the quality of my response to a particular mark? Yes, because that's what it's all about. It's in a professional context, and you will then recognize that if you're to respond to an email to your superior, you don't just use any language that you feel like it, because as much as you may be giving the right answer, you will then take the time to draft that email, to draft that response in a way that will be professionally accepted, that will clarify the issue to the person asking about a particular matter, and so on. So that is very important about the APC. So you might be thinking that I browse through ITC, I browse through CTA, maybe is it now a bit of a challenge to browse through APC? Is because of that case. And this concept of responsible business leader, it's something that it's something that is now integrated into developing this entry level. You will that there will be this presumption of you having the right base of technical knowledge, where now it might be that you are given things that were done, and you as the entry-level chartered accountant to do what? To be able to help us in reviewing, identifying errors, concerns, and being able to give. So those are some of the things that will be expected of you. So it then presents a very, very different picture that we saw in ITC and CTA, where we expected you to do the task, where we expected you to really start from nowhere, and we give you a scenario and we say, what, deal with it right there and then. So that is something that we see as a shift from ITC to APC. Then we also see that it's got a very high level of a very high level problem solving. So there will be matters that will require you to solve them in an integrated manner. So this is where you bring integrated thinking to the fore. So you will then need to then demonstrate that, yes, as part of my professional competence, I am going to give you the technical, but there might be some things that I will need to validate. I will need to question further. I will need to raise, and thereby demonstrating critical thinking. I might even need to raise my concern with particular tasks because they are just got questionable ethical dilemmas. So those are some of the, and Fedi will explain as we unpack the 2020 APC. Then the next, it's all about understanding that APC happens in a context. So when you even respond, what is it that the CFO is asking? What is it that the board is asking? So we really need to add information will be used something. We are not of the board of the key decision. So if now we are thinking we're on the other side, will this information really respond to what we are asking? Have we considered why someone will ask me to evaluate an NPV? That is something that we would want you to really take in as part of saying, what makes the APC to be different. Then the last one is the fact that the APC has got this increased degree of decision making. Unlike the ITC, most issues may not be able to be resolved. Oh, in the case study itself, you will be saying that I would have loved to know more information about this, but you don't. But your ability to then add value, regardless of what what we can say limited set of information, it's part of the task. And as Fedi unpacks the APC, there was a task that just gave the candidates a whole bunch of cost, and they needed to ask questions, ask additional information. And really that was the task, to say that in practice, if I give you this and say that the auditors are coming, hey, what are you going to do about it? I just need to say, oh no, but you forgot the notes. I'm not going to do anything about it. But you are going to be able to, you have to demonstrate competence in a world of uncertainty. And this is where we talk about what? The increased degree of decision making. And even the required, you will then see that they want you to review, show consent, provide a view. And that is something that is something that is very important. You need to be able to what? You need to be able to show that kind of thinking as you are approaching the APC. So yes, the technical knowledge that we have focused on in CT and ITC, they are absolutely critical. But what the APC demands is a bit more. And I'm sure even in your own experience, you might have seen some of your senior management that really know their work, or they're able to absorb information and be able to articulate and help solve decision with the information. It does not necessarily mean that they will need to be going to that level of technical detail that we saw in the ITC and CT, but they're able to extract the relevant parts in order to solve problems. And that's what it's all about. And that's the kind of journey that we want to take with you and make sure what you are comfortable going to the assessment come what? Come APC 2021. And one of the things that we have seen is we have summarized them in these 9 realities of what? In this 9 reality of the APC journey. And just to say what? Just to say just to continue on the question of what is different. So first of all, as I mentioned, the assessment of professional competence is something critical for us. That's why we have a session where we go through that in quite a lot of detail. Then number 2 is to say you cannot outstudy the APC. So you might be thinking that, oh, but if I saw that last year's APC was technical, should I just then go back and redo all these videos and therefore master my technical knowledge? It will not necessarily work. It's all about your ability to identify the triggers, be able to identify the issues, and know what is the best course of action. Do you read the entire standard? Do you go watch a video? So that level of professional judgment will never be taken away. And therefore, pre-studying the same way that we used to do for ITC and so on will not necessarily be effective. Then number 3 is to say that business acumen, critical thinking, ethical leadership are not some of the things that you'll get to what? That you'll get to see in class. Yes, we can talk about them, but really this is where your training gets to be quite beneficial. It's where you're going out of your way gets to be what? Beneficial. and you reading articles, you just connecting, you making sure you are engaging regularly with like-minded people, is where it will then be able to add value. And that's where we see the mentorship coming in. Then it's also recognizing that professional skills are developed over time. So one of our candidates shared a very interesting audio note recently where they mentioned that APC is not going to be friendly if you're a sprinter. And she mentioned that she knows herself, she's a sprinter. It used to work in CT and ITC, that they will give her tutorials today, say submission date is 1 May. She will not do it today, she will not do it tomorrow. To check the deadline, and that's when she will start going up and down to just make sure that the submission is actually met. Unlike the previous programs that you may have been, the APC is different because it does not work well when you are a sprinter. So if you don't focus on developing all the skills right now from the beginning of the program, you will find that later on you'll be saying, oh, this is what I'm required to do, but this requires time. And when you don't have time and you are realizing probably what you need to do and you've got more information to go through, it becomes very stressful. So this is something that we'll want to highlight to you, that if you are one of those sprinters, no, it will not work when it comes to APC. The journey starts the moment we say go. And yes, it might be slow when you start, but by the time you finish, you will finish much stronger. Then pervasive skills will underlie your response. So as I mentioned, a quality communication is important. Watching your tone is important. Using a lot of detail and approaching matters in the appropriate level of depth is important. Talk about point 5-6 to say effective communication and strong level of pervasive skills will help you ensure success. Then number 7, we mentioned this business acumen. So I found that when we speak about the sprint, a lot of candidates that I've spoken to, even just beyond the APC space, is that one, they've never opened an integrated report. And the first time they opened it, it was during research period. It was now when we are saying studies on X, and they're saying, oh, Google annual report for this company, an integrated report pops up. They don't know it, they don't understand its value, and so on. And this is what we get to see quite a lot. And we are saying that this is something that one needs to also think about. How do I engage in the professional journey from day one? How do I then do it? And then how do I then bring it together before the assessment? And business acumen, we are saying that, yes, you really need to show that critical thinking as you build on that or throughout your journey. Then there's the issue of the PEC. The PEC, it continues to be an issue of downfall for many. Last year, we also got word that there was I think they said a video of PEC that was going around. Very interesting how many candidates got hold of it. Very interesting how many responses that were similar that we got to see during the marking process. So we then wondered whether there were candidates that truly believe that research are enough to pass the APC. And therefore, if that's the case, they then rationalize more research, more content in my file, then the better the success. The APC is not like that. you will really need to apply yourself under that 8-hour period. You will really need to bring your very best in them. It might be that you might even miss a trigger, but if you are dedicated to applying yourself in the assessment, you will find that it is much easier to think through issues in there. Then, number two, it's an issue of what? Technical competence, to say that forms of the APC. So for us, these are some of the things that we work on. And I would really like to hear your views, especially those that set for APC 2020. I don't know whether they've got any time to do a reflection, but if you are to do a quick one right now, would you say any of this contributed maybe in your own journey not being successful? Is there anything that when you reflect, you are saying that, yes, this was me, I think I undermined the quality of the response, I just wanted to get my thoughts out. Some spelling errors, I've been told that they are not good, but I still, by the time I went to the exam, I was not there. Oh, it was me, I just got that video file, I printed it on a Monday evening, I drank it on Tuesday, I didn't finish it, and I went into the exam, and it wasted my time trying to browse through it, and so on. So I'm keen to hear whether you've got any different perspective of what might have gone wrong before Fidi then comes in and unpacks APC 2020 for us. Any question? Let me just see the chats. And
there's still a lots of questions, Rendani.
Yeah.
But I think most of them are still going to be dealt with some of the slides we'll put through. So I think maybe you can push through, and especially around the courses. That's where most questions are coming from.
All right. But before we get there, I remember there was a question on APC 2020. So this is the slide. So Fedi, for you to chip in as we go. So the red, do you see the red? The red, I hope that it's quite clear to everyone. What do you make of it? Just looking at the red. So just to clarify for those that might not have seen the assessment grading for the APC, NC means not competent. So it means not competent. They are saying that the candidates that are in the red, they didn't demonstrate competence when it comes to the specific tasks. And it might have then dragged their overall response, pushing them to what? Pushing them to what? Pushing them to outcome and the concerning results that we saw. So I understand that the scripts will coming up next week. So for those that wrote, it will be quite interesting to really see whether this also reflected your own your own performance in there. But as it stands, this, I think, for me, highlighted that we've got a problem. Then the blue said that you were on the fence. I liked your response, but it was absolutely there. So not there means that there was very coverage. maybe they asked you for factors, maybe they asked you for an internal control questionnaire, maybe they asked you to review something. You only saw probably 3, whereas there were 7 or 10 items in them. So it could have then spoken about that your coverage of the issue that we're concerning was not at a level where you were actually competent. And that's something valid. And I'm sure you might have also say you've been disappointed. Maybe you've got a first year there, you then said, please look at this. Then they did it correctly, but they just didn't do enough. And there's just quite a lot of work to still be done. So that's what a BC will look like. Or otherwise, issues, but you are not sure whether these issues, you understood them so well because you go to the right level of depth. So you are reading it and you're like, did they really see that there was a problem with the discount rate? They just said, we need to relook at the discount rate. And you're saying that, yes, we need to look at it, but why? Why? And I think we see that quite a lot of times. Because the insight is there, but the depth is just too low. And therefore, that will warrant a BC outcome. And the green, it's what? The green, it's, this went well, that's where a C is, that's competent outcome. So that is what that is what then formed part of the 43% overall performance. And if you checked, it means task G and task D didn't go so well. They're sitting the lowest at 8% for task D, competent outcome, and then 11% for what? For G. And I then wondered to say that, what is it that they were asking? Do you think that they were asking things might not be in ITC, something that wasn't? The next slide was very revealing. Look at what task D. Task D was an internal control question, and G was a net present value analysis. What is your view? Just on that. What is your think? And whether you are new or like, even if you have not seen the paper, would you have expected maybe just looking at just the key focus area and just taking a shot at it if you're a new candidate? What would you think was the most challenging question here? And then to hear the view, somebody they were reflecting and saying, what we next the net present based on their triggers, which is fair. And that is something that is right there. That said that this didn't go so well. Then internal controls also didn't go so well. So I see some comments coming in. So let me see. With respect to task G, I felt that the trigger was not strong enough. And that's absolutely. So that is something that for us, but speculate, we can only have a view. A view, yes, will come through maybe some of our experiences during marking, but I think this is where those one-on-one engagements really come to be of value. So when you really then do script review, we do then do that rigorous feedback, and then we talk to you about what we then have a call and just discuss our insights and some of the things that we believe that need to be done. Then task D, I felt the require was not clear. Okay, so that's a very fair point. Mary's task D was puzzling. I understand what they wanted. And I think from the examiner's report and what you're sharing now, this is something that was coming up. So any other takers? Any other takers? So, and maybe now then the question, so time management was also poorly demonstrated. I spend less time on task G, and that is a very, very hot. And just to share some of the experience or some of is that task A, I looked at it as well, had a lot of things. You needed to take the time to carefully plan. There were some elements that made it easy to. The question is, where do you stop? So that meant that you needed to have strong, effective communication skills, if one may call them that. That you needed to see the issues. That was one, bringing your technical into it. But you needed to then demonstrate good time management, and also you needed to be able to get the point out quickly and quickly undermining your depth. So that is something that is what we've heard, that task A was doable, but it seemed to be a time trap. So I struggled to make a decision here. I wasn't really sure of the required. So I think that's task D. That's from NOMSA. And the general question, why does SAICA still have English and Afrikaans paper? Doesn't give this advantage their home language. Interesting view, but yeah, it's one of those questions that one will like to really raise to SAICA as well. I think the platforms that were last year they came out and just to talk about the APC, and I think this year it will not be any different, I'm assuming. So these are some of the questions that I think they will then be better placed. Any response from me will not probably do justice. Okay. Then one of the things that I want to just then take away from this, it's look at the key tasks. Look at the key tasks. Sorry, got cut off that side. Yeah, but the concluding comments that I just had on this slide was just around the key tasks. That do you see the idea here that they want you to the approach of the requireds are so different from what we have seen. There were 8 tasks only 2 required you to do things from scratch. Just 2. But the rest of them required you to review and provide a view. And for us, when we closely at these results, or when we look closely at this assessment, we then identify that this task then required you to bring your critical thinking to the game, that you needed to then say, one, because when you are required to review something, it literally throws your research and also some of your prepared answers out of the window. Because I'm saying that I'm glad that you came prepared, but this is my issue. So you might have over prepared for when it comes to this trigger, but now let's zoom in. My issue at this cost. So the idea will then be, how do I bring what I have now researched into this task? Meaning that the 5-day period is not a matter of information gathering exercise, but it's a matter of information gathering, synthesizing that information, and being able to apply oneself in that context. Because critical thinking requires that you read carefully what you are given. You are able to evaluate it. You are able to identify its merits, and you are able to identify its limitation. And you've got a basis against which you are doing all this. The basis is your technical knowledge as well as your research. So when you bring those together, then you are able to apply critical thinking, because it means that you really need to then understand that this is a fundamental element of what they are looking for. This is critical to success, because you need to then learn to divorce your research to the extent that it is not applicable. It is unlikely that you will walk in with a file that is more than 100 pages to write 40 pages and the entire file is what is relevant. So how do you then bring that, what they're all about? So this is what they want to do. This is what they wanted in this APC assessment. Yes, it did make some tasks to be very difficult, because it's always a challenge. I mean, we stressed this in CTA, we went through it in ITC, but in APC, yes, they do take it to another level and recognize that, one, the tasks or some of the tasks additionally, they do what? And additionally, they want you to recognize how you are supposed to use, or how you are supposed to use that research in here. I always say that if you find yourself copying and pasting from your file, word for word, you have missed the point of the APC. Because the moment that they will give someone an advantage of taking information and bringing it to the exam and they achieve competence, then this assessment just becomes a very, very research paper. And the one that can research more will then be successful. And that's why application, critical thinking is what is so important. So this is why, and I think for us, it's a very important slide. But as it stands, it's not contextualized because it might not be talking to you. And this is where script review comes to be critical in our program, to say what is it that spoke to you about this assessment, and therefore what are your developmental goals. Then Fedi will talk to you about those in the next set of what? Slides.
Right, thank you, Rendani.
Sorry, Ferdy. Ferdy, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
Yes, you may go for it, please.
Perfect, thank you. And good evening, team again. I guess Rendani laid a lot of foundation around some of the things that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to be making a lot of reference to what he spoke about without repeating the same messages. But I think the approach I'm going to be taking is to say, then how do we help you as the program? So how different is our program? Firstly, and this will be some of the questions which have been asked by the likes of Goodness and Humor, saying how detailed is the feedback on each written assessment? Goodness and Humor and everyone else, we provide such detailed level of feedback for each and every assessment. And when I'm talking about each and every assessment, I'm talking about the three that Rendani spoke of. On each of them, you've got the marker of that assessment or the assessor of the assessment marking against the marking grid and then articulating the points, the feedback around what you as a candidate you've done well, what you did not do well, and what is advised going forward to use the strength that you've demonstrated to improve on the development areas that have been identified. We do this for every single task. And in addition, we do it at an overall level for the entire case study. And then an assistant team leader or someone, a senior marker, then also go through those comments to evaluate if they are indeed reasonable and they are indeed what will help the candidate be able to understand the comments and use them to ensure that they improve their performance going forward. So that is the rigorous feedback that we're talking about on the 3 formal case studies. In addition, we've got a case study that we break down into a number of tasks that we do over time to assist in the new candidates, the first timers, to be able to understand what this APC is all about, what the expectation levels are all about, and ensuring that you now are at a level that you can perform the entire case study on your own. We provide detailed feedback on that as well. Additional feedback that we provide is around other tasks, and it be a technical task that we give you as an assignment, it be a business writing exercise that the language experts give you. They provide detailed feedback. And that is the cornerstone and something that differentiates us from other professional providers. Secondly, it's the support that you receive from everyone at Endunamo. Who do you receive the support from? At the top, you've got myself as the academic program head that will provide you with any support that you need, and I'm a message away. You can message me, email me at any point in time if you need my intervention. Over and above that, I'm supported by the professional team. Rendani has been mentioning the professional team, and you're probably wondering, who is this professional team? Professional team is a team of lecturers or facilitators that will be taking a lot of time to provide you with technical support and feedback for all our case studies, and also think critically, teaching you how to read, teaching you research mean, teaching you how to work in a team and how to be a good team member, how to resolve conflicts as teams when someone is not pulling their weight. So that professional team that also puts together the case studies, you've got access to them. They are simply a WhatsApp message away, and they will be attending to your issue, whatever that needs intervention. Over and above the professional team, then we've got the caretaking and coordinating team, which Randani has already introduced you to. And those will enable you to function and to be able to perform at your best, because all the admin issues have been dealt with. So any finance-related issue, any issue relating to access to material, timetable, just your well-being, and if you are going to miss a class, the candidate support or caretaking would have been on top of those to check up on you on a regular basis, especially when they see that you're falling behind on some elements. Then we've got the mentorship program, and each and every APC candidate is required to have and will be allocated a mentor. And the allocation of the mentor is going to be based on things that are common between the mentor and the mentee, and also receiving feedback to say, I'm not clicking with my mentor. Can I ask to be changed? Or can I ask for my mentor to be changed? Or whatever the case might be. Because what we're trying to build with the mentor is to build a network, to build a support structure that enables you to perfect someone who you're going to be able to confide in when you haven't done well on an assessment. Someone who would then, independently of the professional team, is going to say, right, I think these are your comments. This is what the team has said you need to improve on. But independently, when I look at it, I know because I've been part of your journey. I know because I've been with you daily. I know you didn't pull your socks on this. Why did this happen this way? And just also provide you with that emotional support you need, and also to provide you with the business acumen, which is one of the pervasive to how we support you. I'm someone who's seen it all. What do I mean? I'm a chartered accountant, either in the profession, in practice, in commerce, or wherever. And I've gone through the assessments. But besides having assessments, I've been in practice for so long that I've been in a number of industries, in a number of sectors. I've got a lot of work experience. When you've got a business acumen task, meaning a task that enables you to understand the risks of a business, to enable you to unpack the strategy of a business and what makes a business tick, and how does a business make money, for you to be able to be entrenched in a scenario and be able to thrive within that scenario. Whether I'm in public sector or I'm in private sector, it should not matter. How do I make sure I thrive within any industry that's going to come up on the APC assessment day? So they're going to be talking to you at more of a business level to say, have you read the integrated report? Have you read this article that is out there? Have you come across more recent topical issues? And let's talk about them. It's not just about your emotional well-being. It's about you thriving as a responsible business leader in any sector. So making sure that you are able to thrive in any sector that you're put in. So that is another big element of our program. So the mentorship. So I've spoken about the academic head. I've spoken about the professional program, professional team. I've spoken about the the caretaking team, and then the mentor. But then lastly, the team that you assign yourself to. There was a question as to whether you're going to be allocating yourself to teams or we're going to be helping. First prize, you're going to allocate yourself to a team that you want to be part of. But then second prize, if you're not able to because you don't know within the program, we will be allocating you or assigning you to a team. So that is your support that you will be receiving as part of the program. Then the program itself focuses on the pervasive skills that you see on the third circle there. Business writing. How do I ensure that I communicate exactly what I'm trying to communicate, or meaning there is clarity in what I say. I use the appropriate tone. I target the audience that they said I must talk to. And I use an appropriate style. I use a good email, or my memorandum or report is of the most professional level. And I'm using tables when I need to be. That's why we've got language experts that help us through this to bridge the gap that is there. Business acumen, like I said, when you look at most of the tasks that come with critical thinking and strategic risk management, those tasks require you to be able to identify risks and business risk quite quickly. And for you to thrive on that, we give you a number of case studies. I spoke about 3 formal case studies in different industries, just to make sure that you've gotten accustomed to adapting to an industry, a different industry at all times, including the 4th one that we break and use the time. And then we allocate sectors of interest to say, I want to be in the mining because it interests me. I want to be in properties. I want to be in banking. I want to be in construction. And you can be in multiple industries, which those sectors, as sector members, you're going to be sharing articles, something topical in each for each week, and debating what do you think about this? Why is this happening? With new transaction that MultiChoice has just concluded. What do you think the risks arising from that is? What do you think it's going to benefit MultiChoice? And those are some of the daily living which a professional accountant or a competent professional should be doing. And then talking to your mentors about those ethical issues. Then critical thinking, as Randani has illustrated on we just went through. It was all the tasks. Those interests, those pick up the issues. What other considerations? We would be spending a lot of time and making sure that our case studies have those to enable you to do them at an exceptional level. But without a technical acumen, which is the base of where you are now, it's assumed that you guys have passed IT and have a 4-year degree, but continuous development are technical, because the technical element will ensure that you are able to build your critical thinking and integrate it with all the other skills to be able to demonstrate that I can critique something, tear it apart. I can write the full page about what's your report, what's wrong with your NPV calculation. Okay, and then also give us an alternatives you need to have thought about. And then all those is what we think we need to deliver to you to make you a competent professional for you to be a successful APC 2021 candidate. To the next slide, Rendani, before I take the question. How do we do this? We do this in actions, and this goes to the question that was asking around, do we all go through the phases? Actually not. You don't all go through the phases. It will depend on whether you're a repeat candidate or you're a first-time candidate. When I'm talking first-time candidate, obviously it's more the accelerated candidates, but we will include that or discuss that shortly. But let me tell you how we approach it in terms of our phases. The first phase is reviewing the scene. This is only applicable to the repeat candidates. Right, let's go through it. Let's identify the issues. You do the same on your end. We will do it for you. And we've got only markers that have marked to do this. So it's not going to be any marker. I picked up from down the street, markers that have cycle for APC 20 that have marked those specific tasks. We get them to identify what was wrong with your response, do well, what did you not do so well, and what is our advice? Plan for you on a personal level, at an individual level, that will be discussed with you and say this is probably what should work for you going forward. And then because you would have done your own reflection, you will be able to, it will be a discussion, a conversation with a professional team member, say, this is what we think. And then you will be like, it's like that, I don't think it will work for me. This is what based on my reflection, this is what will work for me. So it's more joint view, and there's the development. Then we put timelines to that development plan and make sure we stick to it. Then phase 2, which all candidates will get into. Phase 2 is timers. This is where we say, what is expected of you as a competent professional? How are you being measured? Who is a competent professional? This is a responsible business leader in practice. What is the expectation levels? What are the competencies, attitudes, behaviors, and skills? I was looking for the word skills. And the skills that you need to ultimately competent professional. And also then just allocating yourself into teams, and we're helping you, and then putting a mentor to you. Then phase 3, all candidates go through it. It's a developing business writers, both repeat and first-time candidates go through business writing with our language experts to make sure that all what I spoke about, articulating yourself very well in writing, comes through. I mentioned phase 4. I introduced it by talking about technical acumen. Guys, some of the people on this call have passed ITs a couple of years ago. Some of them have passed recently or have studied. So we are at different levels of our technical acumen. But if there's one thing that I do on a continuous basis, I see for more than 10, what I do on a continuous basis is lifelong learning. I'm always reading new accounting developments, new tax bills, new auditing standards. That's what we do in phase 4, to say, how do we update your knowledge if it's outdated? Or if you've just recently passed how do we make technical knowledge high standard? Be high test your technical knowledge, because your technical knowledge is an assumed knowledge, and it's going to be significantly triggered to brush up and update on it. So it must not be something that is going to be forgotten and say, oh no, my efforts books and my legislation and my ISAs are going to be out of the window. No, we will make sure that we keep that at 5. Now let's test you with case studies. Like I said, case study 1, 2, and 3. And those case studies is what we expect you to do well in, because we would have taken you through a number of things. Those are case studies that we use to evaluate your competence. And then if at the end of case study 3, you are declared competent, then we say, fantastic, here is the certificate. Here is the certificate. Maurice also asked the question to say, do we receive a new certificate? Yes, if you are declared competent at the end of phase 5, you receive a new certificate, then I guess the new certificate will override your old certificate, which will then sit for APC21. In an unfortunate instance where you are not competent, then we say the reason is for the following. You still have the following development points to develop or to work on, and please jump onto what we call our APC deferred course, where we're going to continue developing those areas before we send you to SAICA to write the formal APC. APC 2021 into 2022, where we're going to be at the end of the program before the new one of next year starts. Not a single one of you guys that are on this call will be part of that program, because you guys are going to show me flames and excel in this case studies. Okay, Floyd, if you can just mute. Yes, push through to Rendani to the next. Let me introduce the professional team. So who is behind this course and the professional team? So like I said, my name is Ferdinand Moketi. I'm the academic head, and I'm responsible for the quality of the program. And I saw some questions already around what is the pass rate and how do you account. So I'll be answering that. I'm a partner at KPMG in financial services, and I've walked this journey of APC since the inception of APC in 2014, when the pass rates used to be at 88% and the likes. I've been seeing them drop for a number of years. I was of the APC for this years until the APC 2019. Of course, I couldn't have reviewed the 2020 at the time. Then we had our accreditation to run the board course. So then the conflict started. So then I handed over that role. So in terms of case studies, I've seen a number of. Hopefully, my experience in that area will be of service and assistance to you guys. Supported by the guys that support me. We've got Rendani Mutelo. Rendani was the one who was taking you through the APC 2020 and some of the expectations from you. Rendani is our managing director for the school, and making sure that all our programs, including APC program, CTA and ITC, are of the right quality, and all the operations are working very well. So Rendani himself is a specialist in management, accounting, and finance. He's actually one of the gurus in that. In that, someone who is so passionate about management, accounting, and finance. And when it comes to he will be, but also he specializes in accounting, strategy, and risk management. He's a seasoned marker for both APC and ITC as well. Then you've got Asan Malola. Asan is our IFRS specialist. I call him a walking IFRS specialist because he can tell you the basis of conclusions for every accounting standard because of his role at RMB as an IFRS specialist. He goes through for each of the conclusions. You will be in good hands from an accounting point of view because we say this course is an accounting course because the reason I say it's a professional course, it's built on an accounting and override the fact that you guys at the end of this program, you need to be experts in accounting. And then we've got Kumu. Kumashe Matambo is our ethics or chief ethics officer and our governance guy, including audit and assurance. So he's a professional at IRB, and he's going to bring his wealth of auditing standard to make sure that that task DS did not do so well in, you turn the corner and improve significantly. He's previously a technical manager, senior manager at PwC. Then you've got Elton Pullen. Elton is a senior lecturer and head of managing and finance at UWC, University of the Western Cape, and he's one of SAICA's top 35 under 35. And Mr. Pullen is not going to be Mr. Pullen anymore in a short while. He's studying for his PhD in critical thinking, and I haven't seen someone who's so passionate about education. And then this whole team is backed by and calmed down by Ererani Mutelo. Ererani is our mentorship director and finance director. She's the one that always ensures that our candidates are well looked after emotionally, and that when the academic team is taken away by the passions of their various disciplines, she calms us down and say, at the end of the day, we are trying to develop a competent professional, and this is how we need to look at it. So this is your full professional team, but supported by a number of tools that are applicable for other areas within the program and our support functions, caretaking, and coordinating team. Okay, Rendani, push through. Let's see. I think this should be. So we get to the general. Maybe just push to the next. And again, should I start answering some of the questions, Rendani?
Yes, please, Freddie. That the last one. So it'll be a wrap-up one.
Yeah, but maybe. Questions? Let me start with the questions that came through at the beginning of the session, and then you pick up the general information. Then we come back to the new questions that haven't been answered in the chat box. Right.
Perfect. Thanks.
And then here, guys, then you can also pause and ask further questions if you've got. Helena and Tembega asked at the beginning of the session to say, what was your pass rate? Our pass rate for EPC or for APC 2020 was 27%. Very terrible results. And our first time result, we would have liked for our pass rate to be a lot higher than that. We were actually aiming for 100%. And you can see with the level of detail that we go into the program, that we wanted to have a better pass rate than 27%. Very disappointing, but for us, it's evidence that there is still a lot more work that we, together with our candidates, needs to do. It's not time for a pity party. It's not time to hang the boots and say we're done. It's time to say no, a lot needs to still be done around those elements, especially because we've been part of the marking process. And as part of the marking process, we saw that candidates nationally are not where they should be. So we need to work with our candidates to make sure that we push harder, even harder than the previous year, to get a successful outcome at the APC 2021. Warabile asked on the uniqueness. We closed that question, the program. The fee question is coming. Maurice was asking our mentors, who are they? Our mentors are from various areas, and they are not our professional team. So we wanted some people that are independent of our professional team to be our mentors, to help students with the business acumen, to help with the networking, to help with the technical elements and the emotional well-being. But we go through a screening process before we admit our mentors, and also in the assigning of mentors and mentees, we make sure that we match them rightfully so. Are our tasks time? You could see from this presentation that our program is quite detailed, and it's engaging, and at the same time it requires a lot of commitment from your end. But at the same time, you've got those reflection weeks where there are no assessments, there are no tasks for you to go and learn from your previous mistakes. So as much as it's quite detailed, thorough, and time-consuming, there are points for every. There is a point like a week or two where there are no assessments or tasks to make sure that you can reflect on the work that you've done before. Rendani answered the APC accelerated course already. On the question around making available prior year material and videos on the portal. Yuma, that's a very good question that you've asked. We actually put all the prior material for you to go through at your own time when you need to do. So one of that, you're then going to have access to all our CTA and ITC material, and that we put it on the portal for you in a case where you are struggling or you want to update your knowledge around a particular technical matter. You can go through those. Excuse me, but I said Rendani responded to questions to say, what if I'm an APC accelerated? I think that's still gonna come through. Just confirm, Rendani, on the APC, on the ITC 2020 candidates that are still waiting results. You will take that one, right?
100%, yes.
Cool.
ITC 2021, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes, ITC 2021. Thanks, Rendani. Maurice asked, do we get allocated to groups? Like I said, first prize, you need to allocate yourself, and then second prize, if you don't have, then we will assign you to a group or team. Deborah asked a very interesting question. Any reason why there is no number one from Ndunamo on the honors roll or the top 9 candidates on the APC 2020 results? I think it goes back to the same questions around the results to say we're striving to have someone on our from our program, and not just one person, but a number of our candidates being on the honors roll. And let's work together to get there, because it will take both the program and the candidates to do so. Okay, address the question of the repeaters. Are there differences in cost between repeaters and first timers, especially in respect of when you're registering to make sure you select the right course? But I think from a material perspective and what we're going to be covering, I've dealt with that already. Thanks, Maris, for bringing that question. Colossa, I've outlined a number of things that we do to close the gaps from a transformation perspective to ensure that the pass rate, our Black Africans and Black in totality, or is as good as the white counterparts, is around support, is around exposure, is around business writing, is around business acumen, is around making sure that we develop critical thinking skills, rigorous feedback, and the diversity of the case studies to ensure that our candidates that are not working in multidisciplinary and multi-industries can get that knowledge. Kanyisile, what can we do better to prepare ourselves? Exactly what I've outlined. Thanks for the question. Led to each task was of an isolated nature. Was it effective to read the entire IOD? We help you through how to read an IOD information on the day and making sure that you don't waste time and you manage your time. Okay. And Kex also asked, how do I ensure that consistent performance across all tasks? How do you maintain your momentum throughout the entire 8 hours? We go that as part of our program as well. And it's got to do with, firstly, time allocation and making sure that you give each task the benefit that it deserves. Okay. And goodness and humor, I've already responded to your question around how detailed the feedback is. Rendani, just go through the general information, then I'll be going through the chat box to see what you've responded to and what we still need to respond to.
All right, Freddie, thank you very much. So yes, I think the issue about tuition, it's then clarified. So we've got 3 programs that we run. The other one launched on the 27th of March, and it catered for candidates that already had ITC by the time it launched, meaning that they secured the ITC in November 2020 or before that. So that one, the registration for it is 2 that we've got here, the repeaters and the accelerated. So the repeaters program is fiscally structured for the candidates that set for APC 2020. If for reason you didn't sit for that one, you don't register for that. The reason why it's priced a bit higher is because of the script review process. So as Fedi outlined, there is phase 1 in our 6 phase program. And phase 1 is specifically targeted to what? To repeating candidates. So what it does is that firstly, there are sessions where we'll then cover and go through the details of what? Of APC 2020. So what will then happen then? We will then go through the pre-release in terms of what was expected of you, what were the triggers that were coming up, and go through each and every in detail, sharing with you the observations that during the marking process, as well as the observations that we made on the examiner's report, and just marrying it between the two together. Additionally, because you will have submitted your script to us, we then reflect and also give you rigorous feedback on your script. And the idea is for you to get that as well as your developmental plan. After the developmental plan is prepared, or before it's prepared, we have a one-on-one session with each of our repeating candidates. And you've gone through the paper. What is your view? What do you think is lacking? We then document that on your developmental plan, and we also then outline additional areas where we believe that you will then benefit in terms of what? In terms of just bridging all those that will have noticed. Sometimes during that process, we may give you an opportunity to see if you produce a more quality response. So we do look into those, and we will then consider that input or those elements when we do what? When we give you feedback. Then what it will then mean that by the time phase 1 ends, you've got a comprehensive understanding of what you need to do. And with the developmental plan, know how to use the program to the best of your as your team. So that is why we don't recommend who is not or who didn't sit for APC 2020 to register for that, because it's got that additional element where there's that personalization of the program for you. Then the ITC April 2021 candidates, the one that will be waiting for their results until the 18th of June 2021. We are saying that kindly register for the ITC accelerated course. So the course it will not wait until the results date. So what will then happen is that once it is released or once it is available, you will then start working through the developmental. You will not get to the case study period by the what before. And given what we have seen, ITC and APC, and reflecting on what we have shared about those 9 realities of the APC gene, we have made a decision that in 2021, so specifically 2021, because we may review the decision later on, given how the timing of the ITC and the APC go next year. But in 2021, we can confirm that anyone who does not have ITC of June, unfortunately, won't be able to continue the journey with you, because that's when the APC program really peaks. That's when we go into case study or full case study mode. And at that time, that's when the ITC journey will be also getting into full force ahead of the sitting on the 1st of September. So after thinking quite deeply and strongly about, we have then resolved that you are waiting for your results. We understand that most firms will also not pay until those results are confirmed. So we've then made a concession to say that you will pay 20% of the fee that is applicable to what? That is the accelerated cost. Then come the 18th of June, if you then do what? If you then are successful, then your firm may then say, all right, as part of the policy will pay for you. When they pay, we'll give you 20% back. And in the unfortunate event that the results are not successful, they're saying that was into the preparatory ITC sitting, and the 25% we will roll forward into our APC program 2022. So that is the kind of arrangement that we have in place. So we are saying that enroll, then attend the full classes in April, attend the full classes in what? So not April, but in May, and then attend the first 2 weeks or so in June, waiting for results. And when that uncertainty is removed, then we'll then talk about the way forward. If in that phase, the most unfortunate April, we will then have to refund you the portion. That's why is the arrangement that we have in place. So for those that are in terms of just managing your commitments, you're saying that you come to pay, it is 20%. If you are then still paying for yourself or the firm will not pay for you for then come 18th of June and you've received the results, we'll want you to top up the installment that will have otherwise been due in May and also at the end of At the end of June. So in terms of just planning around how the payment structure will look like, that's APC accelerated cost. So we have a comprehensive document that answers majority of this question and just puts it in writing in case you want to refer and make sure you are absolutely clear. So you can just go to our website. When you get there, you'll find APC questionnaire and you can say type registration or registration and payments, and all those questions are detailed in them. So the questions came around the Tutuka funding. So the Tutuka funding, I'm sure you'll appreciate that it's a SAICA initiative. It is not something that we have advanced information about. We go through the process like any other service provider or any other. We understand that SAICA goes through those applications, and then they prepare an application for facet funding and other donors. And based on that, they will then advise that that they be able to assist the candidates with. By any time, whether they're any funding, we cannot even confirm when it would be that it will be. So that is how that process works. And lastly, it's a matter of I think the question came to say also, if I'm coming from another program, do I still pay the 14,850? So that is the case. So when you come in from another program or from APC, we treat you as a newly registering candidate. So those prices are applicable. And then the other one, yes, employer arrangements are acceptable. So we hold the organization in a number of employer database. If you are not sure whether they are there, then you can always reach out to that finance email and find out, are they there? If they are on there, say what's the process? The process is simply also the questionnaire. There's a letter that we just want you to attach, and then you send it to your employer, and that's done. So if it's part of if we are already part of their database, we'll then just follow the payment protocol and you don't need to worry about that. And if you are coming from a new company that we don't have, then it's just a matter of connecting our finance to their finance, and we'll engage, understand the process. We'll always to do it as quickly as possible. So once they confirm that this is how they work, once we've confirmed any payments, then we can confirm that you are enrolled or anyone in the organization, and we continue and treat you as a fully paid candidate. Then in terms of we are currently under what do you call it, COVID environment. We have not opened any of our programs. So that's what that will mean that we'll be running all our sessions in this kind of fashion, being via Zoom. And there will be sessions that will also be pre-recorded that we'll share with you just to make sure if there are any matters that are coming up quite a lot, maybe we are seeing that a lot of candidates are coming and say, wait, this issue is troublesome. We can do some of those sessions on a what? On a pre-recorded basis and make that video available for you. And I think even the question that came up about whether there is any previous material. So yes, we there are some case studies that we've covered. So based on your developmental journey that we'll have defined, or when we believe that there is an opportunity for one to do so, we will share those videos with you, or so that it will overload the program. We believe that the program is demanding enough, and this year we've put in some time to really reflect on your performance throughout the program, so that you are not on that anxious or sitting over the edge kind of setup. Then the next one is the mentorship. Mentorship, we've spoken quite a lot about it, but as I was saying, that for us, it's not just a wellness check, but it's mental journey. So I will not want to repeat, but you can expect this to be a very engaging mentorship program. In terms of the assessments, that APC questionnaire that I told you about has got so much detail around the assessment, what we call developmental assessments, where we help you understand the expectations, we help you understand gaps, we help you understand or to improve on some of the things that you may have seen or have picked up that they're critical to your AC journey or success. Then from July up until the end of the program, we've got 3 compulsory case studies. So guideline in terms of how you then achieve the first certificate at the end of the program. So we will want you to engage with that document. We'll also refer to just to make sure we are all on the same page. Once you are there, you'll then see that we will require that as a minimum, the second and the third case study be a C. And then if one of them is not a C, we may award you an opportunity to serve that do consider the previous assessments. So we've got guidelines on that, and we'll share that on our first session. Then, as I said, most of the program will be happening online. My universe is a very comprehensive portal that we've recommend that you spend a couple of minutes, familiarize yourself where the material is at, the videos are at, the timetables are at, how to join the classes, and so on. So once you've got that resolved, it makes it easier to benefit from the portal assessments, and the feedback are available there. Then the last one is the registration. So we would like to advise that we have revised. I think we looked at our program and we realized the demands that and we really don't want to add unnecessary stress. Come late, finding that you're not getting full value out of it. So I made a decision that next week, Monday, that will be the last day enrollment. So the program officially kicks off on Tuesday. So end of Monday, about 9 o'clock, we'll then close the registration, and we will then do what? We will then kick off the program on Tuesday with anyone or everyone that will have joined the program from that time. So you will then see that there are now TP timetable and the APC repeaters timetable. So whatever program or timetable that is applicable to you, then you'll consult that timetable specifically. We do use my universe as the online calendar that maybe in yourself without your computer, you out of town or so on, you can always log in and all the class links will be there and you can quickly jump into the session. So those are just some of the general information, but the administration of the program is quite comprehensive, because we'll want you to understand what you're getting yourself in. We'll want you to understand how to make sure you benefit from the program. So even when you join, you've got a welcome letter that will clarify some of the matters I've spoken about. Then you've got a notice board that will give you access to all the notice that we've put up. We also have a market on the expectations for the month. So you will always be in the light when it comes to what? When it comes to how to navigate the program. So that is all that I had when it comes to our information. So conclude on our set, and with the session, we'll then just dedicate to responding to any questions.
Cool. For the question there are a couple of Ere was assisting me respond to most of them. Thanks, Ere. First one, how many assessments do I need to be competent in from Macintosh? Macintosh, you've got to be competent in at least 2 of our 3 case studies. So that is the general answer I can provide you. So we understand that demonstrating competence could take time, but in our question, we respond to that quite sufficiently. Yeah. Randani, I think that's what you wanted to outline as well.
100% yes. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Nelisiwe, do you provide that in APC20? And I think, Nelisiwe, you were referring to the time when I was talking about one as a repeater, you will be accessing the rigorous and the detailed feedback. Sisipo was asking the minimum number in a team. I guess, Sisipo, what you can do is to allocate, it's to assign yourself in a team. And the minimum, I would say around 4, but you allocate lower number, then we can also address that as well. Retabile was asking, maybe Rendani, you can take this one. Do we provide access to venues outside South Africa, like London, in a case where we've got to, for case that they're going to be physical?
All right, yes. So yeah, thank you, Fedi. So the initial plan that we had last year was to make arrangements based on FM engagements. So what we'll then ask contacts to your firm, formally introduce ourselves and reach out to the firm in terms of firstly looking at facilitating the assessments in their offices, and then secondly seeing if they will have any professionals that will be in. So last year we had some that just came and said, hey, if you've got candidates here in Namibia, we're happy to assist and so on. So we do get some that are interested, and we will want to then just reignite those conversations in light of just ensuring that we try to simulate the APC assessment sitting. So that's that kind of information that we have for now. But what I'll then recommend is that you send an email to those coordinators and let them know about them, the details of your firm, and also where you are, and then we'll pick up the conversation and share feedback with you. Yes.
Thanks, Rendani. Violet had a question which Rwani just responded to around. So if I'm sitting for September C because it's April, I should not be registering for EPC. Absolutely correct. You should not be. You should be focusing on ITC. At the back of that, CISWE then asked the question to say, so if one does not pass June, but passes, so I guess if you don't pass ITC June, then and let me answer this way. So let's say you've written ITC 2021 April, and you are waiting for rate because it's not like you're for September. Once, because that for APC course, June the results come out. If the results are unfortunate, then it means you've got to drop on the APC accelerated course for APC, because then you need to refocus your attention to the September ITC. And then for that purpose, whatever fee you would have paid already then gets rolled over into your board course, just so that you don't lose your money from that perspective. And then on CISWE, so if one does not pass in June, but passes in September, the only option for them is next year for APC. Yes, CISWE, the only option for APC will be next year. In any case, because the results for September ITC will come only after the APC of this year has been written in December. So it's unlikely that you can pass September and then jump onto an APC. Right, I just wanted to just clarify on those questions. Sibusiso was asking the timelines for the script review and assessments. So both those will be on the detailed timetable that is my units. And Brandani, you can just confirm that it's already uploaded.
Yes, ready. So also on the welcome note, it does clarify the timelines. So we understand that, yes, SAICA asked for 2 weeks. So we planned around that to say that at least have developmental plans by day. So that is what we're going to be working towards. Timelines are communicated in the welcome APC repeating candidates.
Thanks. I think that also answers Mary's questions. How soon can the timetable be shared? Ngazi was talking, I think Ngazi have clarified when I spoke about the reef. Okay. Oh no, Ngazi is talking to a candidate that has paid, that the firm is paying. If the firm is paying, if you are on the repeaters or the first timers, but not the accelerated, because the firms will usually pay for the accelerated until you pass ITC. So if you pass, if you are registered on the accelerated one, and then you don't make it, that's the point I made around your refund will then fall into the ITC board course.
Hi,
Go for it. Hi, Ngazi.
So why are you guys making it compulsory to roll over the money to the board course? What if the person does not want to join the board course?
Remember, Ngazi, you would have already been had access to our material, and you get, then we can't refund you all the money, having had the lectures, having experience, the marking and all that.
Okay, but now what about the other person who had 20% of the money, which is 2,800 rand, and then they fail all over?
Maybe my colleague Ere, do you want to assist me on this one?
I don't understand. Maybe what was the question?
Ngazi, you can come through again.
If I got you are saying that for those that are still waiting for their ITC results in June, you can pay 20% of the fee. And if it happens in June, then that person off the program. So now 2.8 is on your side, which is covering the material that was used for the period, even for the period May and part of June.
Mm-hmm.
So now what is making it different to the person that paid the whole 14,000, but that was also writing ITC in April, and now since they did not make it, demanding their 80% back, and they like they might be the same.
No, but that we don't expect anyone, because that's what some candidates will then choose to pay 14,000 even when they're not required to pay.
So pay 2,000 to pay the 20%, 25%.
Yes. So
yes, but what is say the 14,000 and June? So obviously, I would expect that the 80% should come back, because I don't want to enroll.
We've had in the firms, we will tell them no, because it just creates unnecessary. So we are saying that we're going to avoid anyone paying full. So most of the firms we spoke, they've confirmed that they don't pay for candidates without confirmed ITC. So
okay.
Yes, so then we are saying that also individually, we can don't pay full without that anyone will then say no, I full. So we are avoiding that admin altogether. It's a more of admin process, and then the day does come back, because we should refund you to the same point. But we are saying, why should we then be carrying on?
That's what I thought. That it was like now the two-out course, the ITC bond will roll over the iBot course, because we don't want to waste your money or something like that. I don't know, but just something along those lines, of which I don't think it should be. It should be a matter of being forced to roll money to the board course. If let's say 2,000.
Yes, we are on this. We are on the same page that the charge is going to be 8% to what?
So it ends, because the reason why I'm asking this is because I'm very concerned, because I had already to pay, and now that there is this 20% that I hear about today, I'm a little bit concerned now in that thing, because at the end of the day, I'm also fall on debt, because I would, and in cases where I don't want to go for a board course again, because guys.
Okay, but I think the issue is we don't want to put also firms at risk where they pay 100%, the candidates don't make it, and it's a mission, like for instance to refund organizing like AG, it's a mission. So we are saying that now we are all on the same page. We are saying 20% is payable, So then let's make that admin to be simpler. And if you are to apply for financing, if it's creating complication, then reach out to our finance, then they will make a plan.
What I want to be sure of, Rendani, is that if say they've paid this 14,000 and then my results don't come out good in June and the money is already on your side, the 80% is coming back.
But to the firm.
Yes, to the firm.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure on that because I didn't like. I was confused with the part of rolling forward the money to the ITC board course.
No, I think the detailed document will also clarify that's the details. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Rendani.
All right.
Sure.
I think those questions are answered. Just trying to see if there's anything else in the chat box. So there's no way for us to start the program and make first payment and Brendan, do you want to come back to that?
Payment at the end of May.
The first payment, yes.
Yeah, so all our programs we've designed with the minimum requirement. So it is something that at this point we have not made any different concessions. So
correct.
As it stands, I think it'll be a no, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think registration fee is payable upfront. Thanks, Eric. Lung, on your questions around, does this mean we don't have to send requests for the APC 2020 scripts? That's how I understand it as well. Rendani, just confirm you don't have to send a request. Every failed candidate will receive the script.
That's also my understanding. Yeah.
And an option to get only script review because it's expensive, or to only get the script review as the course. Venetia, confirm that, and not in root course. Is that what you're referring to? Yes. Randani, just take that one, please.
So that's if you look at the questionnaire, that's where I am actually right now.
Yeah, just highlight it for them. I can see it.
Yes, so that will be this part right here.
Yes, the fee for the script review process is 2,000. Yeah, and if you just want to enroll for the script review.
And just to confirm, so one that enrolls for that, they get access to phase 1, meaning that it's not just going to be a written script review. They will then attend those classes that we've mentioned as part of phase 1, and they will get a developmental plan. It just means that they will take ownership of that throughout on their own and work through any development areas that they will also still get the one-on-one session, everything that is passed.
Correct. Thanks, Rendani. So if in two of the formal assessments, okay, yes, that was another question that was coming through. Remember, I indicated that for the assessments, we'd like you to have competent outcomes in at least 2 of the 3 case studies. If you don't, there is a supplementary case study, meaning case study number 4, that you will have to write. And then that as the last opportunity. So basically, then it's 2 of the 4. Thank you. And is asking where you find the document that you've projected, Rendani?
So this is so the APC page. All the information that you need to know is available there. So let me just quickly project. Yeah, but you can go for another one, Fedi. I'll just go this way. Yeah.
So Sakile is asking, if I want to join the repeaters program and my firm is paid, by when should I register and by when must my firm pay? So if that's the case, Sakile, you need to register this week, meaning before Monday next week, and then the firm paying, usually the firm pays later, but we will need confirmation that the firm will pay. And that confirmation needs to come before we finalize your registration. Sakile, I hope that makes sense. Okay. Maurice is asking again about the 2 of the 3 assessments. Remember, there are 3 case studies, Maurice. What I said is you need to get competent in at least 2 of those 3. But if you don't, then there is a 4th opportunity, meaning a supplementary opportunity that you will be granted, meaning it's the 2 of the 4 assessments. So there is a supplementary assessment as well, Maurice. Okay, hope that makes sense. I think Dikari was asking the same. Yeah. Dikari, so if in 2 of the, just give me a second. So if in 2 of the formal assessment one gets a BC, does that mean the person will be placed in the deferred course for next year? I guess, Dikari, if even in the SAP, the person gets a BC, because in the SAP, then you'll need to get a C. And if you get a C, you get a certificate, but if you don't, then you will be put on the deferred course indeed. Oh, thanks, Sizwe. So the September ITC results will be issued on 5 November. Okay, so yes, but we don't encourage any of the September ITC candidates to enroll for APC. Okay, thanks for clarifying the results date. Okay, is there any other question that I haven't responded to? Okay, so Mutswani was asking the question, so we do not have a class this Saturday, the 1st of May. Yes, the 1st of May, we don't have a class. So the classes will only start on Tuesday, the 4th of May. Okay. Right. Open floor now. I think their hands up. And KK, go for it.
Hi, Fedi.
Hi.
I was gonna ask about the Namibian students in terms of getting our scripts. Will you guys also get those for us? Or I know our institute sent us like an application.
Remember, KK, we don't get the scripts.
Our scripts.
We don't get the scripts for the South African candidates. They will get them and then they will send them to us.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
So similarly, for the Namibian candidates, you will get the script. I don't know whether you will automatically get the script or you need to apply for it. But once you have it, okay, once you have it, you send it immediately to us.
Okay. And I have another question. I know we kind of already spoke about this, but in terms of payment, maybe if the board can just go back and just give consideration to say, like, say if I make my first payment at the end of May, or if I don't honor making the payment at the end of May, I get kicked off the course, because all of this sort of, I didn't really plan to, like, let's say pay for like almost 4,000 now at the end of this month. So if I put in a request to say that I'll make my first payment at the end of May and I don't honor that, then I get kicked out of the course, which is like fair. But it's just a consideration. I know we already like spoke about it, but I'm just trying to put my luck.
Yeah, we'll put it to the board. Thanks. And then there is live. I'm not sure the name. Go for it. Live. You've got your hand up.
Hi, Freddie. I think it's me. Sorry. My name is Mpo.
Hi, Mpo.
Okay, Freddie, I just wanted to ask, in terms of this September, like people who are writing ITC in September, what is that decision based on? The fact that you guys are saying you're not gonna accept somebody who's sitting in September to join the APC, because other APC other institutions or whatever, APT I know is offering that option, that if you write in September, you can still continue with the APC, but it's going to be on you. It's going to be your loss because you still have to pay the full amount. Because I feel like the pass in September, then I must just wait another year to do APC. Shouldn't that be a decision that I myself, an individual, make? Because like Endonam is making that decision for us. Shouldn't it be up to me if I want to take that leap of faith and think that I'm right, I'm going to pass September, why let me enroll in this APC program and see what happens in November?
Yeah, I guess, Paul, there were a couple of considerations to come to the decision. One of the key consideration is that ITC as a technical assessment requires a lot of work for you to focus on to get your technical knowledge at that level.
Okay.
And then having said that, it means you're going to use the time from between now and September to focus on that. However, our program, like we said, it's quite demanding in terms of developing your professional competence together with office. So I guess there will be conflicts between you trying to study for ITC and then us demanding tasks and work from you between now and September. And we think you will be all over the show. Then you will write September, and then you will pass. Then once you pass September on the 5th of November, or even let's say before that, for you to catch up on our program on the professional skills, we think, yes, and quite rightfully so, we're making that judgment call to say it's only a month or two and it's not enough because the skills gets developed over time. So if we send you to go and write APC 2021, we are setting you up for failure. It's a judgment call. I guess, yes, some people will agree with and some people will disagree with.
Okay, Freddie. Thank you.
Thanks, Mpo.
Yeah, so I think I've just also pointed out the further points to what you are saying to end. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Brendan. Mpo, KK, just lower your hand so that I can see if there's any other hand. Thank you, KK. Mpo as well, lower your hand. Any other question? Okay. Any other question, Aaron, that I haven't noticed? Helma, go for it.
Okay, I just have one, but it has to do with the 3.7 that need to be paid because I'm calling you from Namibia.
Sorry, you are breaking a bit.
Am I breaking a lot? Okay, I'm not sure if I'm okay now.
Now you're better. Yeah.
All right. So I was asking to say, I'm an Namibian candidate, and I just wanted to know, to say the 3.7, since we're international, is that applicable to everyone else, South African and Namibian, like the 3.7, the minimum that need to be paid for the repeat candidates? Or would there be an additional, I don't know, a fee for internationals? Or is that also even that included, just to make sure that we budget accordingly?
Correct. So the cost that Rendani has presented applicable to all candidates,
Okay.
SA and worldwide. And then second question, Endunamo is not a registered vet vendor, so the amount is the full amount. So we don't levy VAT.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Helma. What nation the firm do you need for one to register? I'm asking this because in my last report course, but they don't issue confirmation letter. And that one up.
Hi, Professor. So what we normally do is that you can just send us when you register after you confirm at your firm. We'll do is that we'll take in once comment for your registration will be finalized, because we need to follow up as to who we need to communicate with in your.
Happy through. Cool. Awesome. Any other question?
I see another question. So it's about the Saturday assessments. Yeah, yes, we do make a concession. We do make a concession in that regard. So we do offer guidance in terms of how that process goes. So yes, that is led to M's question.
Okay.
That was regarding Saturday assessments.
Cool. Then Warabile is asking, the current APC course outcome does not take from a different provider. Warabile, I hope you're not referring to registering to a program and not committing to it because you know you already have a certificate. Because in that case, it's just not beneficial for either person. But absolutely correct. If you already have a certificate, the attendance to another program does not override that existing certificate. But I guess once you get a second certificate, then that second certificate will last longer than the first. Thank you, Arabile, for that commitment. Forward. I think it's any other question? We will stick around for a couple more minutes, but I think the formal session can close. And thank you, everyone, for participating and also for your questions and also for staying with us till this long. And you are welcome to exit, but we'll stick around for questions. Thanks, guys. Retta, you've got a question. Sorry, Rendani, go for it.
Sorry,
first before Retta.
I was saying that I've shared the link to that APC questionnaire. They can quickly download it before they leave.
Okay.
The link, on the
link to the questionnaire, guys. You can download the link to the questionnaire before you leave. Thanks, Rendani. Retta, go for it.
There was a question from one of the candidates as to how many people have enrolled with the program. I don't think it was answered.
How many candidates have enrolled so far? On our time candidates, we've got above 100 candidates.
Thank you.
Go for it. Anyone else? Togozani, go for it.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I wanted to know during the course, do you guys actually do a rigorous marking of the assessments, the 3 assessments that you referred to?
What do you mean? Like, do we give rigorous feedback?
Yes, because yes.
Yes, that's one of the things that we emphasized in the session, that we give very detailed feedback about what you did well, what did you not do well, and how can you use your strength to develop your development areas. So we give detailed feedback at a task level and overall as well.
Okay.
Cool.
I have a question.
Go for it, Simon.
So how many students registered last year for 2020? Because I see only 37 wrote the exams, if I'm not mistaken.
On only 41, correct. So we had about 59 candidates, Saima, and some of those were repeat candidates and already having certificates. So by the end of the program, the road certificate were 41.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Ferdy. Can I ask a quick question?
Of course, Letu.
Sorry, I think I just got the end of Rendane's answer with respect to Saturday assessments. Do you provide alternatives? And if so, what are they?
Rendani, take it, please.
Sure, Ferdy. Yeah, so yeah, as I was saying that yes, we do. So the idea is that if it's a weekend assessment, you will need to then write, because generally we have found that either candidates, as one could be that they're not available on a Sunday, so then Saturday will then be feasible, and some are not available on a Saturday, and then Sunday will be feasible. So we normally just make sure that it's very close to each other, because the marking kicks off quite immediately, and we then do the allocation of scripts in a relatively short period of time after the assessment. So we always want to make sure that all of them are in, and also just to give a fair chance to everyone, because if it's a bit out, then maybe some can get an opportunity to look at an assessment, work through it, and so on. So we try to run that period. So it might be either a day before or a day after.
100%. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Letu. I've got to say, Letu, you sound exactly like your brother, hey?
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Next question.
It's Simon again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually Namibia, and we are using NAM code and Namibian text legislation.
You're using?
The NAM code.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And the Namibia tax legislation. So how are you going to go about that? It's effectively addressed.
Yeah. Rendani answered that quite well earlier. Rendani, for it again.
All right. So yeah, as I was saying that from an assessment perspective, all the responses where there are tax consideration, they will be responded to in accordance with the local legislation, specifically and Namibia. So yeah, this year we'll also be looking at but then the context of the study will be from a South African perspective. Because I think even in the adoption of the actual case study, there's usually location issues rather than business issues emanating from the adoption. So that is something that we've considered. But in terms of providing technical updates, then we will not be going into that detail. So, for instance, if there are major technical updates, we'll then advise you to just make sure you familiarize yourself in that regard. And if we do assess those, then you will then get an adapted solution in that regard. Yes.
Brendan,
Alright.
Shaima. Renali, on the question of the recording from Tumelo in the chat box.
Of this session or generally?
In this for this session.
Yes, so it will be available tomorrow morning. I think maybe you can have a look on our website around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So the current link that is there will then just upload this session and also the discussion of the material that we've covered here. So what it means that you'll then click that Open Day link and you'll have the original APC professional course that we launched in March, and this session alongside each other. This will be available for years. You'll then be able to revisit and catch up with any of us if you need to clarify anything further. And next to it, then there'll be the questionnaire as well as the brochure for the program.
Thank you. I think there's a hand up from Sisipo.
Oh, hi, Freddy. Can I also get this one that is on the screen right now?
Sorry, Sisipo, I couldn't hear that.
If we can also get this one maybe tomorrow. Then you just said you can upload the link.
Okay.
For the recording and
okay, so you sorted.
All right.
Cool. Thank you. Any other question, guys?
Hi, Fedi. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can.
I just want to ask with regard to mentors. So let's say, because in my situation, there's a friend of mine who sort of like referred me to Endunamo. Then she also told me about how nice her mentor was and in terms of helping her out. So do we sort of like have a choice to choose our own mentors, or they're just allocated to us randomly? How does it work in that case?
Rendani, do you want to pick it up?
Yeah, so for first, it depends whether they're in the program. So if you have someone that you got your, let's say, hearts for, so with that request, we then did share with them a respective mentor, and they were happy to partner with that specific mentee. So we were open to that because we want there to be a value add. So we just want there at least to be professional engagement. So it should not be too less formal, because at the end of the day, you want someone who will be able to challenge you, someone who will make you uncomfortable, someone who will be able to be honest with you, to say, and now you are not putting as much commitment as I will expect. So if you know you've got that person, you can ask them to enroll in the program, and as far as possible, will then reach out and make that that arrangement. So we are not against that, but we will then expect them to just adhere to the processes of training and to the process of assessments that we'll have put in place and to the guidance that we will have shared in the program. Yes.
Thanks, Rendani. Any other question, guys?
Hi, Freddie. It's Mpo again. I just wanted to ask if for example, if I am not confident with my results for ITC April, and then I decide not to register now, and then it happens that by God's grace, I pass in April, is there no way that Endunamo will make an exception to register me, or it will be too late?
In June?
Yes. Because now I'm not confident with what I was writing, and I find it so hard to commit to something when I'm really not sure about the
outcome.
My results, the outcome.
Mpo, I think it definitely will not make a concession. Time groundwork, and we are like 2 weeks away from our first case study, which we now needing to start assessing your competence.
Okay. All right, ready. Thanks.
Cool. Any other question, guys? Right, Brendan, are we closing it? Cool. Thank you, everyone. We will close it. Cheers and have a good night. See you in class.